to transform our city into one that is beautiful, united, revived, nourished, and safeguarded. I am God's choice, and I ask that you make me your choice on April 1st. Cry your last tear and cry for Jackson. This message was paid for by friends to elect Lakeisha J. Clyde as mayor of the city of Jackson.
A proud supporter of WMPR. And we are 90.1 WMPR. We are Jackson, Mississippi. Good morning to you and yours.
It's 7 a.m. The skies and shine. So talks money, the future's alive. Grab your coffee, let's take a ride. It's love and wisdom, time will rise. So Mr. Educated team sharing the wealth of the things we should do for trust. Blinking, it's all a must. Your guide to wealth is learning to trust. Legacy matters, secure it right. Dreams take shape with every insight. Rules and assets, life insurance plans. Building for your future with expert hands. Slow talk, money and more. Building wealth with knowledge galore. It's a protection for hands to flow. Tune in and watch your dreams overflow. From saving today to trust for life. Breaking generational wealth divides. Healthcare directives, banking tips. We're here to help you fortune eclipse. From saving today to trust for life. Breaking generational wealth divides. Healthcare directives, banking tips. We're here to help you fortune eclipse. So tune in now, it's time to learn. So wisdom, fuel this run. Invest, protect, and thrive for sure. Signing off is gold, talks money and more.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, WMPR and WGDQ listening audience, and to my YouTube viewing audience. This is Dr. Sabrina Edmon Williams, your host of So Talks Money and More. I am here for another edition. So great to be here this morning, this rainy morning here in the city of Jackson. I had a few little issues this morning trying to get up and going, but I tuned into 90.1 FM, and I heard my good friend Mr. Armstrong reminding everybody to tune in at 7 o'clock. So that was just the motivation that I need to make it into the studio this morning. Got to start today by doing a shout out down in to some people in Copiah County. I had an opportunity last week to visit with Sister Dolores Barnes from Hazelhurst. Good morning to you, ma'am. I certainly enjoyed visiting with you on last week, and my thoughts are with you. I know you're doing some personal things today, and just want you to know that I remembered what we discussed, and my thoughts are with you today. Miss Dolores Barnes from Hazelhurst, Mississippi. Also gonna leave Hazelhurst and come on up 55 just a little bit and stop off in Crystal Springs, Mississippi. Got to give a big shout out to Pastor Cook and the family down at Clear Creek Missionary Baptist Church. I was invited to worship with them on yesterday for their Friends and Family Day. We helped the Cook family to celebrate Friends and Family Day. They're at Clear Creek Missionary Baptist Church in Crystal Springs, Mississippi. Thank you so much to my sister Danielle Archer for the invite. I certainly enjoyed being with you and certainly enjoyed the program, all the good singing yesterday, and just the worship. Worship yesterday was amazing. Got to give a shout out to Big Baby Alice Marie, who was the MC of the program on yesterday. We certainly enjoyed you and your contributions to the program, keeping everything very lively. Just had a great day on yesterday. So today, that was yesterday. Now we're on Monday, and it's time for So to start talking a little money and more. I got to start the show by kind of doing a recap. There were a couple of conversations that I had over the week, and I think that our listening audience would benefit from me just kind of doing a recap and an overview of some of the things that conversations that I was engaged in last week. And I'm going to bring it all home. Our topic today is an ounce of prevention, an ounce of prevention. Those of you that are seasoned, I say that, and I don't say that lightly, because the more my clock turns, and the hands turn on the clock for me, and the pages turn on the calendar, the more appreciation I have for being seasoned, Mr. Armstrong. But those of us that are seasoned may have heard that term, that phrase: an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Last week, I had a young lady to call me up and say, Dr. Williams, I would like for you to talk with my dad. My dad is considering making a purchase, real estate purchase. And I know that you are a real estate investor, and I really think he needs some guidance throughout this process. The young lady mentioned that her father was a minister and that he was considering purchasing a church building. She said that the bank had already approved him for a good portion of the purchase price, but he still had to come up with some additional money to bring to the table. So she thought that it would be beneficial for him to talk with me to get a little guidance on how to mitigate that process. So I did give her dad a call and spoke with him at length to get a better understanding of what his plan was, what he was trying to do, so that I could advise him as best I could. Now, it's one thing when someone calls you and gives you kind of an idea of what's going on, and it's a whole nother when you talk to the source. When you go to the source, you get a better understanding of where things stand. Now, initially going into that conversation, it was my understanding that her father had a congregation that was interested in purchasing a new place to worship. However, once I began the conversation, I soon found out that her dad is indeed a minister. However, he told me, he says, "Well, I'm interested in buying the building, but not so much because I have a congregation, because I don't have a congregation. I'm simply looking to buy the building as an investment property." I said, "Okay, well, kind of tell me what your plans are. What are you thinking about?" He says, "Well, I was thinking I may rent it out to another congregation, or I may use it for this purpose, or I may use it for that purpose." I said, "Okay, so what exactly is your plan?" "Well, I don't quite know. Don't quite know what my plan is, but I'm thinking about doing quite a few different things." Well, that rang a bell to me. So my next question for him was, "Sir, have you ever purchased property before?" And he says to me, he says, "Well, I'm on my fourth home. I've bought homes and lived in them, and this is the fourth one. But in terms of uh, investment property, no, ma'am, I've never bought an investment property." I said, "Okay, well, let's just think about a couple of things." So I did what Dr. Williams does. I pulled out my little amortization calculator and gave him an idea, just based on some numbers. We just pulled some numbers out the sky, and based on what he was telling me the purchase price of the building was, which, by the way, was a six-figure purchase. My best estimate, based on my calculations, the monthly principal and interest payment for that building would have been somewhere around $1,500. I did say the principal and interest payment. I reminded him that, not only do you have to make principal and interest payments, you also have to have this thing called insurance when you have a note on property, as well as property taxes. If you're going to own anything, you got to pay some property taxes. So when you add in another $400 or $500, you get to a monthly payment of about $2,000. So my next question to him was, "Well, do you feel like you can lease the building out, especially if you're leasing it to another congregation, for at least $3,000 a month. Well, now this gentleman is in a small town. So, he started to think. He says, well, I don't know. I said, well, now, when you're talking $3,000 a month times 12 months a year, that's what, $36,000 a year. If a church is able to lease for that kind of money, especially in a small town, now, I'm not talking about these big churches, these mega churches. I'm talking about these little small town congregations, Mr. Armstrong. If they can pay that kind of money to lease a space, I would venture to say they probably could afford to purchase their own building, paying that kind of money. So, my question to the gentleman was, is this feasible? And I want you to really think about the feasibility and the fact that, after about 30 to 45 days, whether you figured out what you want to do with that building or not, the bank is expecting a payment. The bank is expecting a payment, whether you got it figured out or not. So after a little bit more discussion, he thanked me and he says, well, you gave me some things to think about. I hadn't even really put that much thought into it. But yet this gentleman was ready to make a $300,000 investment. I would like to think that after our conversation that he really did think about whether or not that was a wise move to make. And I would like to think that perhaps I shared something with him that would prevent a very, very costly investment mistake. I've been a real estate investor for about 25 years, and I tell you, if you purchase a property, you best have a plan going into it for how to monetize it. Not just because it looks good, not just because it's, available. There are a lot of properties out there that look good and they're available, but they're not always wise investment decisions if you have not figured out and you do not have a clear plan for moving forward and for monetizing your investment. An ounce of prevention. I hope that during my conversation with that gentleman, who was a seasoned, age-wise, seasoned person, that he thought about what I said so that he did not make a mistake, because clearly once you get to a certain age, it's not quite as easy to recover from some financial mistakes. So I'm hopeful that he did not decide to move forward with that investment at this time without a clear plan. An ounce of prevention. I mentioned I had 2 conversations, and the next one that I'll share with you was one that I had with a friend. I've known her for quite some time, and we were talking about estate planning and the value of estate planning, and she was actually sharing her journey with me. She had 2 different experiences, very unique experiences. Her father passed first, she said, and had nothing in place, no will, no trust, nothing in place. And she said that was a horrible experience because, of course, his estate had to go through the process of probate. Well, during the probate process, one of their relatives actually decided to sue the estate. A relative decided to sue her dead father's estate, which definitely extended that probate period. Now, we've talked about this before, and I'll say it again. If you don't do anything on the front end to prepare your estate, when you get to the back end, you will have to have representation in the form of an attorney. And most Fridays, I won't say every Friday, but most Fridays, we have our own in-house attorney here. Attorney Peter Stewart sits right here where I'm sitting, and he gladly and delightfully says, I am your probate attorney. Now, I'm not trying to knock what Mr. Stewart has going on. I respect him. I respect the fact that he's gone to law school and that he does what he does. But I do want to tell you, and I want to remind our listening audiences, attorneys, just like Dr. Williams, you know, I think I went to school a little longer than the attorneys because I did an 8-year program. I think they do something like 7. But because of the length of time and the length of study that they put into their profession, they charge heftily for their services. Okay, they charge, and they don't charge by the project. They charge by the hour, Mr. Armstrong. Okay. So you go through probate. They're not going to just tell you it costs you, $500 to get you through probate. They cannot do that because they don't know how long it's going to take or how involved it is. Okay. Go back to my conversation with my friend. What started as a simple, my dad has passed, he didn't have a will, we need to probate his estate, now turns into the estate is being sued, which means the probate attorney has to do a lot more representation, study, litigation on behalf of the estate. Okay. So that equates to, and I hope you follow where I'm going here, that equates to money, people. That is additional time. That is additional cost to the estate. That is additional cost to the estate. Now, in talking to my friend, as I said, she shared the fact that she went through a horrible experience with her father, but what she decided to do after they got to the other side was, I got to do something different for my mother. We got to put some plans in place so that we do not experience the same thing when my mom passes. So she did, went forward, put some plans in place. When her mother passed, very smooth transition. All of that drama was nowhere to be found. An ounce of prevention, an ounce of prevention. Now, Dr. Williams has been talking to our listening audience ever since I've been at this station, and I will continue to talk. This is what brought me here. I have been talking to the community about the importance of preparation, the importance of getting your affairs in order. It is necessary. It should be a priority for all of us. An ounce of prevention. I want you to think about a couple of your, probably your biggest investments. Let's start with the car. We all can't wait to turn 18, and some of us even get a car if our parents feel so inclined to buy us a car before we turn 18. We can't wait to turn 18, 21, so that we can get that first automobile. Many of us are not even thinking about a house or purchasing a true asset, income producing asset. We are stuck in the mindset that we got to have a ride, a way to go, or as the young people refer to them, we got to have that whip. Okay. So we go out and we buy a car. Some of us will spend heftily on a car. Most times we don't just buy it, we finance it. What am I talking about? When you go to the dealership and you don't walk in there with the money to pay for the car outright in full, you go in and you finance a car. You, in many instances, you will allow the people at the dealership to pull your credit, and when they do it, they may pull it. You take about 10, 15, 20 hits to your credit report because we don't really understand that process of how that should be done. Okay, my people, we perish for a lack of knowledge, but we will do that. We will finance that car for 5 years, 6 years. Now, with the price of them, some I hear are 7 and 8 years to finance these vehicles. Okay, we will get the car and then we will drive it without really making the investment in the maintenance that is required to keep the car up and going. You know, people will sell us anything. They will sell us anything, but they won't sell us on that concept of maintenance to keep that vehicle up and going. So we'll drive the car and the little light will pop on, the check engine light, and we'll see it. And okay, you know, we notice it and we might mention it a couple of times, but we go to the auto mechanic, or maybe even take it back to the dealership, and they'll say, well, you know, you need to do this. Maybe it's change the oil or change the transmission fluid. And then they'll tell us the cost of doing that. And of course, we're busy and we got things going on, and we may not want to pay the cost for whatever it takes to fix this little problem. But as we know, when we don't address little problems, sometimes little problems turn into big problems. And so we may keep driving, we see that little light, and it may even pop off, you know, may go back out. But then one day we get in the car and the car won't start, or we get in the car and we drive to a location, a destination, we get there and car stalls on us. It puts us down. We get it towed back to the dealership or to the mechanic, and we find out now that that little problem that may have cost us just a few dollars now has morphed into a huge cost. An ounce of prevention. An ounce of prevention, as they say, is worth a pound of cure. Same things with our homes. You know, sometimes we may have a little something going on there at the house, and we get a quote from a contractor and tell us, you know, it may cost us a couple of $100 or a couple of $1,000 to repair. And we ignore it for whatever reason. You know, we ignore it. But then it becomes a larger problem. You know, that little leak with the water heater. We see the little spots in the ceiling if the water heater is in the ceiling. We may see the water running on the floor if the water heater is installed at the floor level. May just mop the water up and not really think about what it takes to repair, or the source of the water, I should say. But then when the water heater goes out at the most inopportune moment, because you know this stuff, you know lives. It doesn't just happen. I mean, lives. It happens at the most inopportune moment. We go get in there to take a shower, Miss Armstrong, and the water is cold. No water. Because we ignored that little slow leak, that little slow drip. Now we got to replace that entire hot water heater. And it cost us a whole lot of money to get that done now. An ounce of prevention. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. With our bodies, we do the same. You know, we may have a little ache here or pain there, and we sometimes ignore these things. We don't take them serious. And then before we know it, we have received a diagnosis that is unfavorable because we did not take the time to put in the preventive measures that would have allowed us to, address issues before they morphed into much larger things. An ounce of prevention. On tomorrow, March the 25th, I will begin session 2 of a boot camp that I've designed that is a companion to my book, Learning to Trust, the Black Family's Guide for Building, Protecting, and Transferring Wealth. This course was designed with my friends, my family, and my community in mind. For you see, I understand perfectly well that there are about probably 25 million Black folks, people in the Black community who have done nothing when it comes to estate planning. There's no judgment here on my part. It doesn't matter to me why it hasn't been done. The reality is it has not been done for many people. And the other reality is when we don't do things on the front side, we get to the back side, the back end of things, it costs us a whole lot more. You know, it costs you about 6 weeks of your time to sit down with Dr. Williams and get an understanding of what you need to do and allow us to help you to do it. It costs you some money. That's a little bit of money. It's costing me a whole lot more than it's costing you guys. I added it up. So basically, I'm almost working for minimum wage for, what I am trying to do to help my community. But the reality is my community has to recognize and understand and realize the fact that they need some help. Okay. Got to recognize that, people. Because if you don't do what is necessary to prevent, when you go face my friend, Attorney Peter Stewart, you're going to pay what he charges. You're going to pay. Okay. Because he's going to tell you, I can take your case and I can help you get this done. And you need to get it done. But it comes at a cost and a price that you're going to have to pay. So I'm really encouraging my community to take the help that is being offered. You know your situation. Dr. Williams does not. And I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here trying to critique you. I'm not here trying to tell your business, none of that kind of stuff, because that's not what this is about. This is about preparing my people so that we are in a position to properly transfer our wealth to the next generation. Everybody shouldn't have to start from ground zero. Just because you did, just because your parents did or your grandparents did. Everybody should not have to start at that point. So we are encouraging you. Reach out to us and let us know if we can help you or how we can help you. It's just baffling to me that I sit in this chair week after week offering my help to my community, and you would think the phones would be ringing off the hook. It's baffling to me because every day I look in the newspaper, you can look at all these different funeral homes around here, and there's no shortage of folks that's leaving this world. None whatsoever. And it saddens me when I pick up the newspaper and the first thing that I see is the family had to establish a GoFundMe in order to lay their loved ones away. Immediately, I know that there was likely no plan put in place to prepare them for the inevitable. So we're inviting you, those of you that feel like you could benefit. If you can't benefit, I know you have several friends and families in your circle that can benefit from the service that we are providing here to assist people with just understanding. That's my product, you guys. I sell education because our people are perishing for a lack of knowledge. We don't know, we don't understand, and oftentimes there's not anybody in our community willing to step up and help us. And I get that. I'm not that person. Dr. Williams has stepped up. I'm inviting you to visit my website. It's www.IamSEWNOTED.co. IamSEWNOTED.co. Sign up today. Do not delay. I say, trust me now and thank me later. You won't be around to thank me, but your family will thank me because we took the time to put some things in place. I'm looking at this clock on the wall, and although I enjoy being with you. I get up early in the mornings on Mondays, 4:30 in the morning, to be sitting in this spot for 7 a.m. So I have to enjoy what I am doing to be here. I enjoy it, but I can't sit here all day. Got to say what I got to say, and then I got to get on out the way because Mr. Tim Henderson is in the wings waiting to take my place. I thank you guys for tuning in today. I thank you Please keep me in your thoughts and prayers. Dr. Williams will be traveling. It's warming up. It's springtime now. It's time for me to hit the road. They told me charity begins at home and spreads abroad. That's why I'm up every week with my message to my Mississippi people. I'm trying to help my people, but I can't stay here. I have friends and family and people that want me to come to various areas. So this next weekend, I'll be headed to Florida, Bonifay, Florida. Have some speaking engagements lined up over there, and gonna stop along the way in Mobile, Alabama, to talk to the good folks over there. So we thank you for tuning in today. We ask that you join us again next Monday right here at 7 a.m. for another edition of Soul Talks Money and More. And go ahead and stream us online. I Am So Noted. That's my YouTube channel. And for the stations, you can stream us online at WMPR90.1.com and 93.1 WGDQ.com. Thank you so much. And shout out to my good friend Heather Steele down in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. I see you. Peace.
Let's rise and shine, so talks money, the future's alive. Your coffee, let's take a ride. It's wealth and wisdom, time will rise. We're Mr. Educated, sharing the wealth, building things you should do. Trust